we're going to hit that. So they can kind of catch up with us later, I guess. But yeah, the world's changed a lot, and it's really, really crazy. But one of the things that we want to talk about today is even though the world's changed a lot of the fundamentals. And yes, I will be happy to give you a copy of the recording. Anybody that wants a copy, please send me a message through Facebook or send me an email. I'll be happy to get it to you. The world's changed, but one of the things I want to tell you guys, one of the first things I want to tell you guys is the fundamentals. A lot of the fundamentals out there have not, which is really kind of interesting. And, people ask me when I mention that, sometimes I get asked, hey, well, what are the fundamentals? Well, to be quite honest with you, the fundamentals are it's the boring things, right? It's the stuff, honestly, they're not sexy. They don't sound cool. They don't sound like a new silver bullet. They're not a magic pill. It's the things that you just got to do every day, right? The fundamentals of our business really, we don't work in a hard business. We don't work in a hard business. It's really our only job is to talk to buyers and sellers, right? Right? Yeah, Elliot, past 6 months, there's been a lot of money made the last 6 months. And right now, I think we have a great opportunity because you know what? A lot of agents out there in the world, they basically the coronavirus came and they took some time off because they wasn't really sure what to do, and they quit talking to their clients, and they quit calling expireds, and they quit calling for sale by owners. And what ended up happening was really a lot of these agents are out of business. A lot of them collected unemployment. For real estate agents, being able to collect the $600 extra unemployment was probably one of the worst things that could have ever happened to like most agents in our industry, right? Because once they started getting a weekly paycheck, they will want a weekly paycheck forever. They're gone. They're not going to come back. Which, is unfortunate for a lot of them, but for us that are still here, us that are on this call, it's an amazing time, right? So I'm going to go over real quick just a couple of things that I hear over and over again. And I hear them over and over again, and I want to just get rid of them, get them out of the way right now, so if that's good with you guys. The number one thing I hear there's no expires. Well, the truth is there really aren't many expires, right? But the reality of that is there's not really any agents calling expireds anyway, right? Even in my market, I'm in a really tough market for making phone calls. We have some large offices that literally operate as call centers, and they're super well trained. The guy that owns the office used to be a Mike Ferry coach, and I used to work with him too. And he's got some of the best trained agents probably in the state of South Carolina. I wouldn't be scared to say that. And it's a tough market, right? A lot of people make calls, but there's not as many people making calls as what there were before. There actually, Pam, there shouldn't be a waiting room. They should be able to, maybe they need to log out and log back in, but there definitely shouldn't be a waiting room set up on this call. But a lot of the agents that was your competition, they're completely gone. They're no longer in the business. It's kind of like Christmas time, except for we had a virus. That's a really bad joke. But, at Christmas time, like 50-60% of your competition goes away. Yeah, you don't have quite as many sales, but you don't have near as many agents. I believe we're experiencing that same thing right now, because I look at it all over the country, and I talk to agents all over the country, and the agents that are still persistent, they're doing the fundamentals and they're practicing the fundamentals, they're going out there and talking to buyers and sellers every day, are still doing a lot of business, right? Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself for the people that don't know, and I'm going to tell you why you should be listening to me and stuff. But so why you should build a listing heavy business? How many of you guys are working with buyers right now? How many people have worked with buyers primarily? So if you're working with buyers primarily, you probably get it. You know exactly what's going to happen. You get a buyer in your car. And well, first thing is you get up in the morning, and a lot of buyers agents are kind of sitting around and hanging out, and they're just waiting for the phone to ring, right? They've done some marketing, and I used to have a guy that was a broker for a very short amount of time, and he said, "Oh, well, I like for people to call me and want to do business." Well, the problem with people calling you and want to do business is it puts you in reaction mode all day. And a lot of agents that are primarily buyers agents stay in that reaction mode. They're sitting around, they're waiting. They don't really have a schedule. They don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow unless they have a buyer coming into town. And and then when a buyer calls, they rush out the door to unlock the door, to go unlock a door for them, which, in reality is insanity because number one, 2020 people are crazy. You don't never know who that random person is that's calling you. We have to practice more safety as an industry. As just people in general, we have to practice more safety. And that's number one. Number two, a lot of buyers agents, they rush out to go meet those people. They have no clue if they're approved. They say, oh, they said they're paying cash. They said they have cash. Never mind. They didn't tell you how much cash they had or any details about it, right? But one thing I realized in my business probably around 2011, 2012 was that I could have 50 listings and all 50 listings could get shown today while I sat in my pajamas watching TV. I could set them up on showing time and people go look at them. And the only reason they would really need to call me is if they were presenting an offer or they had a serious question. And if they probably have a serious question, that may be something lead to an offer. We should take that call, right? But if we had 50 buyers, honestly, if we had 10 approved buyers that were hot and heavy looking for a house in today's market, they would run you to death. You probably couldn't show them all property this week. If you did, you wouldn't have a life and you probably wouldn't be able to sleep, right? And then on top of it, like I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, this real estate agent, and he told me, he goes, man, it's 11 o'clock. I'm just eating lunch. Just eating breakfast. I said, no kidding, man. What you been doing all day? And he goes, oh man, well, I've been waiting on this guy to come into town and they were supposed to meet at one place. They went to the wrong place. He is literally, the guy wouldn't even commit to the day he was coming into town. He decided to call him this morning and tell him he's coming today. Literally, he's wasted a lot of time waiting on this buyer. And honestly, he probably should have referred that buyer to another agent, let somebody else deal with it while he went and worked on real business, right? So my story is I'm going to give you guys the story in a nutshell here, so we can really get to us talking about making money. So I've been selling real estate, about 17 years. I first got licensed in 2001 when I was in college. I realized that I couldn't really do both. I had a lot going on with school, and I was working at the time. I worked for Sears, and I graduated from Winthrop University, just south of Charlotte. With a degree in integrated marketing communications. I'll be upfront with you guys. My dad was a builder. My granddad was a builder. My uncle was a builder. So I had some limited amount of real estate experience, right? Limited amount of real estate experience. I'd done stuff with my dad growing up. I was around real estate agents, and I'll be honest with you guys too. When I was graduating college, most of my friends were making $20,000, $25,000 a year. Like the people that were getting offered jobs making $30,000 a year were super lucky. And to be honest with you, I was selling lawnmowers at Sears like 25 hours a week, and I was making like 25,000 a year, right? So 30,000 a year didn't really excite me that much, and I kind of looked around, and really the only people I knew and grew up with that really made significant amounts of money, they're builders, contractors. They sold insurance, or they worked in the real estate industry somehow, developing and building and stuff, and basically putting deals together. So I kind of looked at that when I was graduating college, and I said, hey, so what am I going to do? So I went to real estate school, of course. So in real estate school, I met this lady, and she worked for a real estate office here in Myrtle Beach, and it was an oceanfront development group, right? And this is what she told me. She said, selling real estate in Myrtle Beach is fantastic. She goes, I work in an on-site office. Basically, I hang out like close to the beach all day. People come in the office and they want to see units, and I go and show them units. And I said, and that sounds awesome. I mean, at the time I was 21 years old, right? So she told me this story that led me to believe that I could move to Myrtle Beach, get a job with a real estate office in an on-site oceanfront place. I could hang out at the beach all day, go unlock a few doors. I'd sell one or two a month, and I would make about $6,000 a unit. And that was it. I could work kind of when I wanted to, make my own schedule, and hang out at the beach. Sounds amazing, right? That was my initial thought and impression of the real estate business. So I meet this woman. I kind of stay in contact with her. Now, what I didn't realize was she was selling oceanfront new construction, and it took a year and a half for that stuff to get built. So, so I ended up finishing college like on a Monday, moving to Myrtle Beach on like Wednesday of that same week. And I go interview at the same real estate office she works for. They basically tell me the pay schedule. And I'm like, wait a second, I need a paycheck, you know, for like a year and a half. Like I was a broke college kid. Like literally I was a broke college kid. And when I started, I mean, I had $0. People would talk about doing mail. People in my office would talk about doing mail, and I would like basically get my change together and go buy stamps, right? And I was sending out like 20 letters at a time. And honestly, I wasn't doing very well at all. I don't know if you guys have been in that position before, but my business honestly sucked. I got lucky. I got lucky, fell into a couple of deals, right? I had a job. I worked for the Carolina Opry. For you guys in Charlotte, you guys are probably familiar with the Carolina Opry here. And literally, I do whatever they wanted me to do. So my daily schedule was I would get up about 7 o'clock in the morning. I would go to the office about 8:30 to sell real estate. I'd basically hang out in the office most of the day. About 3 o'clock, I'd go home, change clothes. I'd be at the Carolina Opry by like 4:35, and I was the guy that closed the Opry down. Like so, there for a while, I was the guy that locked all the doors, and I'd have to walk through the theater with the lights off and stuff. And I worked with some really great people, man. I really I've stayed in contact with a few of them, and they're just really great people. But anyway, I mean, I was literally burning my candle at both ends. So I was in the office one day, and we had an office meeting, and a guy kept standing up in the meeting, and he just kept talking about listing after listing he was taking. He was a little Italian guy. He was kind of squeaky. He, you know, he's about 5'5". I mean, just you know, this guy just talked about listing after listing he was taking. And I mean, the rest of the office, there's probably 40 people in this meeting. And I mean, the rest of the agents were lucky if they had one to talk about. I mean, I talked about a maybe listing because I didn't want to have zero, you know? Um, but I'm listening to this guy and I'm like, damn, like, what is he doing? Like, this guy must be sending out $1 million worth of mail a month because that was my idea of what you had to do. You had to spend money to make money. That's what somebody told me. So I taken after the meeting, I followed him out in the hallway and I said, hey man, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, how much mail are you sending? Like, how are you doing this? And he's like, well, man, I just talked to sellers. And I said, man, that sounds easy, right? Right. And he goes, if you want to work with more sellers, you just talk to more sellers. And I said, it's kind of like a light bulb went off. Well, this guy had, and I'll tell you what it was. He had some old Mike Ferry tapes. I mean, this was 17 years ago. He had some Mike Ferry cassette tapes, and he had some Mike Ferry on VHS. So he hands it to me. I listen to this stuff, and it was like a light bulb went off. So I immediately start making calls, start calling people, start calling for sellers, start calling for sale owners, start looking up expireds. Guys, I would look up expireds 4 hours at night to make 30, 45 minutes worth of calls in the morning and just keep recycling my list over and over again. And I'll be honest with you, I played rugby in college. I wasn't scared of anything. I was I wanted to succeed. I did not want to go back home to mom and dad. And I think that's one of the problems that a lot of agents have is I turned this whole thing into I had to make it work. It was I have to do this, right? It wasn't I should do this or I need to do this. It was I have to do this, right? I have to make this real estate thing work. I do not want to go back to Alcaluz, South Carolina. I don't know if any of you guys know where that is. They have a lovely Exxon station, and that is it. They don't even have a stoplight in Alcaluz where I grew up. And I used to joke with people and tell them that I didn't really know that Domino's and Pizza Hut delivered until I was in college. I did not want to go back to Alcaluz, South Carolina, so I felt like I had to succeed. So fast forward 2007 comes. I am the number one individual listing agent in the office. I got about 75 listings by myself. All of a sudden, I go from getting so many showings in a day, I couldn't keep up with them, to being lucky if I had 2 showings in the same day on 75 listings. That's how much the market dropped. So what that forced me to do was I was making all these calls, and man, it was sad. Honestly, people would say, hey, I owe $300,000 on this house, and I'm looking at in my listing going, hey, the one next door to you is foreclosed on, and it's been foreclosed on, and yeah, it's 125,000. It looks like it might be nicer. um, so I realized there were a lot of empty units. So I got with my wife at the time, ex-wife now. I got with my wife at the time, and I said, hey, honey, you don't like your job. There's a lot of empty units. Why don't you get licensed and we'll start a property management company? So that's what we did. So we went from 0 units to probably about 200 units in 12 months. At the peak, we were just over 300 units. At the same time, I got really good at generating buyer leads online. I got really good at ranking things in the search engines. I just got really good at getting buyer leads. Plus, I had all these rentals, and I was steady getting calls and stuff. So I started building a team. I actually found a partner, started building a team. And fast forward like a couple of years later, we're doing about 250 transactions with the team, mostly buyers. And then we're doing about 300 leases, 250, 300 leases a year with a property management company. I worked for Exit Realty at the time. My team was in the top 50 in North America 3 years in a row, and it was a great time. I done a lot of business. I somewhere had a little part in a tremendous amount of transactions. Now the now we'll get to the truth of this whole thing and building that team and stuff was. I was working 7 days a week, as close to 24 hours a day as I possibly could. I'm pretty sure I had a stomach ulcer. Um, I remember being sick one Christmas, but I was really, really sick, but I didn't feel like I could take time off to be sick, right? I don't know if any of you guys have ever been there. And then my overhead was so high with everything, right? Like, man, I was doing everything. I mean, just like a lot of agents today, like I had a system that worked. We were doing deals, but guess what, man? These deals were expensive. I mean, I remember we subscribed to everything at that time, right? So not only were we getting leads online, we were subscribing to everything, right? So we had a big staff, we had a lot of overhead, we had a lot of stuff that didn't make sense, and at the same time, I wasn't getting along real well with my wife at the time. Next thing I know, I'm getting divorced. Getting divorced, we decided to close down the property management company. This was about 2013. I was sick of the real estate business. How many of you guys have ever been like that? You're just sick of the real estate business. Well, I was sick of the real estate business. I hated it. Never cared if I showed another house again. Okay, so I took about 3 months. I took about 3 months off. I decided that during that 3 months, I was looking for anything, man. I think I would have tried anything actually at the time. I had a lot of friends in network marketing companies. I had a lot of friends doing a lot of stuff. And I just look at it and I would go, man, yeah, yeah, you make $100 doing that or whatever, but I'm making 3 to 5,000 selling a house, 6,000 selling a house. I mean, we're in Myrtle Beach. We're not in some of the crazy markets some of you guys are in. Um, so after about 3 months, I started looking at myself and looking at my business, and I said, you know what? It's not the real estate business I hate. It's the job that I hated that I created for myself. And a lot of us have been in that situation where we have created a job that we don't like, a job that we hate, right? So that's what I did. I created a job for myself, a job that I did not like at all. So what ended up happening was I hired a coach. I hired another coach. I'm a big believer in coaches and mentors. I believe that if we can find somebody else that's already been where we want to go or already is where we want to go, it can really shorten our learning curve and shorten our trip quite a bit. And so I hire a coach, and what I realized was I didn't have any standards for my business. I did like a lot of other agents, man. I would literally, if somebody called me wanting to buy a $20,000 mobile home, I would stop what I was doing, run out the door. I canceled plans with friends, family, everybody, right? For buyers, I don't know if a lot of you guys have been like that, just canceling stuff just to cancel, Um, at the time, I got to look back and see. I had a bunch of coaches over the years. I want to say I was in the Mike Ferry program then, around 2013. I believe I was in the Mike Ferry program, but it was, but I was looking at my business and I was looking at my life and I said, you know what, man, I don't want to show buyers property. I don't really want my car. I don't want to clean out my car sometimes so they have a place to sit, like I just don't like, man, I didn't want to show buyers property. And I realized that thing that I said when we started this, hey, if I had 50 listings, then all 50 listings could get shown this weekend while I'm, hanging out. And so fast forward just a little while later, I end up getting divorced. Get past that, I meet Laura, who you guys can see her on my Facebook with the two kids that we have. And I meet Laura, and that first year we were together, we traveled a lot. We went on a lot of cruises, went to a lot of different places. And guess what, guys? I was in the Caribbean. I was very listing heavy then. My daily schedule would be I'd be at the office by 7:45. I'd make calls from 8 to 11 or until I set 2 appointments, right? And 11 to 12, I would do paperwork. 12 o'clock, I'd go to lunch. The afternoon, I would go on any appointments. I try to set my appointments early in the afternoon. I like to be home about 3 around that time. And I lived across the street from the beach. It was fantastic. I felt like I never worked. I rarely worked on a weekend, right? When me and Laura first started dating, Laura goes, hey, you've got like 40 something listings, but I don't understand when you work. And I said, oh, well, I make calls. I'm very scheduled. I make calls. And honestly, I was working about 30 hours a week, making $12,000 to $15,000 a month. And so we were in the Caribbean. We're on a cruise ship. While we were on that ship, I had 3 listings go under contract. While I was on the ship, while we were hanging out, while we were having fun, had 3 listings go under contract. I think we had spent $1,500 actually on the tickets to go. And I think I made like $17,000 that week. We went on another trip to Gatlinburg, and we hung out in the mountains like 4 days. While we're in the mountains, I sold 2 properties that week. I think I made like $9,000, right? I know that, gosh, there's so many days off, so many days that we were hanging out where I'd have people go show properties, send me over contracts, send me over offers and stuff. I'd make a couple of calls. Sometimes when we were on a cruise ship, I dealt with it all through email mostly, right? And you can't do that working with buyers, right? So a few years ago, I started training and coaching real estate agents, and I started doing podcasts and stuff and talking about these things because I believe that we have the greatest opportunity that you could possibly have. We're in a business that you can design your business to finance or pay for the lifestyle that you want to pay for. A few years ago, I told people this. I started looking at my business and I started going, hey man, you know what? I really don't mind selling real estate, but what happens when I get 40? What happens when I get 50? What happens when I get 60? How many years do I want to go to, make calls and go to people's houses and do things like that? And I started looking at my business as how could I use my real estate business to finance property? How many properties did I need to pay all my bills? How many properties did I need to retire? And I started looking at that 3 or 4 years ago and being really serious about long-term investing and long-term buy and hold strategies and rentals and stuff. And guys, the real estate business offers us those opportunities. And I will be honest with you, I've looked at every business I feel like is out there, and this is the only one that's out there. It's the only one I could find, right? So this is a big question I get. Where do we get leads? Guys, I'll tell you what. I wrote a book called 53 Strategies to Get More Listings, and I talk about a lot of ways to get listings in my group coaching. However, primarily, I'm a big believer. I am not a cold caller. How many of you guys, raise your hand if you're happy to hear that? I am not a cold caller. I am not telling you to make cold calls. I am not telling you to open up the phone book and dial all of page 23, right? I do not think that is a good idea, especially when we have people that are raising their hand and saying, hey, I want to sell my house. So I feel like that we all have a limited amount of time. We're all busy, right? If we don't have kids, we have a hobby, we have a significant other, we have something else we'd like to do rather than work. Wouldn't you guys agree with that? So one of the things I've kind of learned over the years is that if we just go ahead and pay a service. I'm a big believer in RedX. If you go to jasonmorrisredx.com, they waived the $150 setup fee. I like the idea that I can show up at the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, open up my laptop, and I got leads and numbers there waiting for me to make calls to them, right? Versus me showing up at 8 o'clock and spending an hour trying to figure out who to call, right? Expired, $60 a month. for sale by owners for $100 a month to get expireds and for sale by owners. And to be honest with you guys, if I was starting brand new today on this call, I tell you what I would do. I'm going to give you guys something. I didn't plan to talk about it, but I got a couple of messages and stuff here. I'm going to tell you this real quick. I'm going to give you guys a strategy that I swear you can make $100,000 with. If you guys take and you subscribe to RedX and you call them up and say, hey guys, can you help me load up the last 2 years of expires? Because all of our markets have went up a lot in the last 2 years. RedX system sorts them out so that you can see which ones got listed. You can see which ones don't. So you don't waste your time calling people that got relisted. Tell them you want 2 years. Okay, you're probably going to get around 2,500 leads, depending on your market. Some of you guys might get a lot more. Some of you guys might get a lot less, but you're going to get about, let's just say 2,000. Let's make it easy. You're going to get about 2,000 leads, right? It's going to take you, if you're just dialing with a regular phone, no dialer, it's going to take you, you're going to be able to dial about 40 numbers an hour. So it's going to take you about 50 hours, right? So if you work really hard for 1 week, we can get through all those numbers, right? It's going to be a painful week. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be a painful week. But when you call those 2,000, you're going to get a lot of wrong numbers. You're going to get a lot of people that you leave voicemails for. You're going to get a lot of people that, you know, are going to tell you they sold their house and all kind of other stuff, right? But you're going to find that you're going to get 1% to 2% of those people want to do something in the next 30 to 60 days. And by that, I mean they probably want to sell their house still. Like you can go back 3 years if you want to, but you're going to get about 1 to 2%. So you're going to get roughly 20 to 40 leads, right? Okay, and then your job is, after you do that, your job is to continuously follow up with these people offering value. And guys, if you had 20 seller leads right now in your market, hey, get this. If you call the ones that you left voicemails for that you know were the correct numbers, right? So let's say the owner's John Smith, and on the voicemail it says, hey, you've reached the number of John Smith. Those people, if you call those people again, you'll get about half. So you'll get another, like, say 10 to 20 leads, right? So you'll end up, if you call through these things twice, might take you 2 weeks to do it. If you call through them twice, you're going to end up with about 30 to 40 leads. Those leads in my market would be worth about $5,000 if you went and listed the house and sold it, right? So we're talking about $150,000 to $200,000 in your pipeline by doing that. Now you're going to say, some of you guys are probably listening to this and saying, Jason, why are more agents not doing that, right? I mean, we're talking about this easy. The script when you're calling me is, hey, my name's Jason Morris. I sell real estate. Do you still want to sell your house? I'm with XYZ company. Do you still want to sell your house? Right? I mean, that's the call. Okay. And you guys are probably thinking, why are more agents not doing that? Because most agents don't want to work. Most agents just will not do the work they need to do to get successful. But let's say you got your notebook, you wrote down these things in your notebook. Next thing you know, every day when you're going to the office, when you're making follow-up calls, you're carrying around a notebook that's worth $150,000, $200,000. Wouldn't that be amazing? And wouldn't that be really, really exciting to get up and go to work knowing that you got $150,000 worth of follow-up leads in your pipeline? I mean, literally, you could do that like 2 or 3 times a year, following up with the people. You could do it once a quarter with no problems, maybe twice a quarter, and literally just do that and make money, you know? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the reality of today, because I want to show you guys. I got a spreadsheet here. I want to show you just a second. Share this with my group coaching a bunch of times. We've done a lot of surveys a while back. Now, this was pre-coronavirus, but we're going to bring it up today. Let's say, guys, here's the thing. Well, first thing is, if you're just dialing 5 numbers a day, you're dialing 5 numbers and not getting anybody on the phone, I'm going to be straight up with you, not calling enough people. Here's the deal. So it's been close to a year ago, we did a bunch of surveys in my group coaching, and I compiled all those surveys, come up with some numbers. Okay, those numbers, and I'm going to put them in here real quick. Okay, so let's say that you want to make $100,000 next year, right? Okay, $100,000. Your average commission is 5,000. Can everybody see this? Give me a yes or no. You guys that are on Facebook Live, give me a yes or no. Can you guys see this? Okay, so average commission is $5,000. Right? So you want to make $100,000. You need to do 20 transactions. Now, something I've learned from training agents and myself personally is that it always seems like I do 0.9 to 1.1 sales per listing I take. So let's say you got 10 listings, you're going to sell 9 to 11 properties off those 10 listings. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to sell every listing. What that means is you're going to get buyers that buy houses off those listings, right? You're going to get leads through Zillow. You're going to get leads through all these other places that your listing syndicates through, just because your MLS is so great at syndicating property. I'll tell you what, I got a listing right now. It's kind of a cheap one, but I swear to you, I probably get 20 buyer registrations a week off of it right now. But you're going to get about 0.9 to 1.1 sales per listing you take. And if we're building a listing heavy business, buyers are just bonuses, really. Buyers are just bonuses. I feel like that's a very easy way to plan your business. Now, remember I said 5 people, you're just down to 5 people, that's not enough. Well, here's the thing. And these surveys determine, now these are people calling for sale owners, expireds. If you're just calling for sale owners, you might get a little bit more. But we took and determined that you'll dial about 8 numbers for one conversation, right? You're going to dial 8 numbers to actually talk to somebody on the phone. That doesn't mean it's a nice conversation, okay? That might be the conversation that says, hey, we don't want to work with a realtor. Hey, we're all set. Hey, we've already sold our house. Hey, we got a buyer, right? Hey, I'll pay you 3% if you bring us a buyer, right? It's going to be something like that. So you're gonna dial 8 numbers to get one conversation. Now, it's going to take, this was based on these surveys, about 22 conversations to get one listing appointment. Now, that's 22 conversations. You're probably going to get a few people. You're probably going to get a few people that want to do a few other things, right? And you're probably going to get a few people that hey, maybe they want to sell. Maybe they're not ready for an appointment. Maybe they think they got a buyer. Maybe whatever, right? But now, what we determine out of that too is that you're going to go on 3 appointments to get one listing. Now, this was across the board. This is people showing up, just saying whatever they want to say. So if you prospect 2 hours a day consistently, and you make 40 calls per hour, which that's no dialer, that's you sitting there dialing on your cell phone, right? You're going to need over the course of the year, you're going to make about 11,616 calls. Okay. And through that, you're going to need to work about 145 days. Now, Bob said he doesn't think he can make 40 calls an hour. If you talk to somebody that could take a few minutes right there. Now, Bob, and you're thinking about 20 to 25 calls an hour, which might be right for you, right? Now, I believe in using a script and sticking to that script. And we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Now, we're talking about some of these calls, you're going to leave voicemail, and we're talking about, Bob, we're talking about being very diligent too. We're wasting no time, which is really hard to do. I'm going to tell you, it's really hard to do. I'm a big believer in a dialer. Now, I'm going to change these numbers up a little bit and tell you how to be a little bit more productive, okay? If you want to make $100,000 a year, one out of 8 sellers answer the phone, right? Data, a lot of expired data is mine data. Sometimes you can't really improve the quality of data very much, but let's say that you started sticking to the script, right, Bob? You start sticking to the script, you get the script really, really internalized, and you're using a simple script. You're not using anything crazy. I see a lot of coaches and trainers with these scripts that are 30 questions and asking things that aren't relevant. I'll show you guys my script here in just a second. But let's say instead of 22 conversations, maybe you could get that down. Maybe get 10% better, right? You're role playing, you're practicing the script. We're going to get 10% better. So we're going to go down to 19 conversations. Okay, then we're going to start using a canned listing presentation. We're going to start sending out our pre-listing package, and we're going to make sure that we're doing all the things we're supposed to do, right? We're going to get really good at the listing presentation, because here's the thing, guys. If you ask the same questions over and over again, you're going to start learning that you get the same answers and you get the same objections. Okay, so we're going to get really good at the listing presentation. Instead of 1 out of 3, we're going to start getting 1 out of 2. Right? We're going to get 50%. Right? Okay, we're going to get 50%. Now look at this. Look at your number of days working. Look at your number of days prospecting. Guys, what if you got a single line dialer and you started getting, if you got a single line dialer, if you got Red X's Storm Dialer, you could probably get 60 dials an hour. Now what that's doing is it's automatically dropping voicemails for you. It's automatically doing a lot of stuff, and you can do 60 calls an hour, I promise you, with the Storm Dialer. And yeah, you guys hear my dog? It's probably the male person. He's like a 70-pound golden doodle. He sounds like a beast, but really he's a teddy bear. And so so we start making 60 calls per hour. Maybe you go out there and you get a 3-line dialer at some point, right? And you start making 100 dials an hour, right? Okay, you see where your total number of days down here just kept going down? Or let's say it's just, hey, you cut back a little bit. You can only work an hour in, but you've got a single line dialer, you're making 60 calls an hour, right? You can see like how a lot of this stuff, if we practice our scripts, we practice our dialogues, we practice our listing presentation, we say the same things, we use the same questions, we ask the same questions over and over again, and we get just a little bit better. We're not talking about crazy good here, right? You're not going to list every property where you talk to the seller. It's impossible. You're not going to do it. Okay. But the fortunate thing is we don't have to. We're not in a business where you have to bat 300 or 400 to get in the Hall of Fame. You can have a couple of good conversations a day and make a tremendous amount of money. So I want to show you guys that. I mean, that is the reality of today, without a doubt. And that is possible today. I think that's very, very possible today. So what do you say? What do you say when you call? Right? So I'm going to show you guys a couple of scripts. We're going to go down through them real quick. And we got a lot more to cover. I know I told Pam we're going to be an hour. And I told her to plan on an hour. And anyway, I want to give you guys as much as possible, though, during that hour. I want you to leave and be able to go and do something with that. So guys, I come up with this for my group coaching a while back. I come up with a script book, and I've been talking about scripts, and I've been talking about different scripts on calls. I got 35 scripts in this. We're going to go down through a couple of them. For sale by owner. Now, I've done some calls where we go really in depth with using these scripts, but I really like this. I'll be upfront with you guys. I like to price property based on active competition versus properties that have not versus solds, right? If we're pricing based on sold, it's like buying bed sheets based on last Christmas's sale. We just can't do it. So with that being said, I like to have MLS up when I'm calling. It makes it a lot easier to be able to look up things real quick. And my script is very, very easy. You guys are welcome to screenshot this and use it. Hey, Mr. Seller, my name is Jason Morris. I'm with XYZ Realty Company. I'm calling about your house. Is it still for sale? Hey, fantastic. What will you take for it? Okay, I always ask what they'll take for it. Some of them say, well, it's right there on the ad. However, every now and then you do get people that maybe they're asking $200,000 for it in the Craigslist ad. They tell you on the phone, hey, look, if a buyer came along that was serious, I would take 170, right? Sometimes you get some people that'll tell you a lot different answer. But you're establishing a little bit of rapport. How soon do you want to sell it? Now, with this question, you're going to get a lot of different answers. You're going to get the one that says, oh, we wish we could have sold it last week. Wish we could have sold it yesterday. Ha, ha, ha. Right? Nothing's wrong with that. You're going to get those over and over again, right? So then I like to just ask some questions about the house in general. Based off the ad, is your home in good shape? How old is the roof? How's the HVAC system? Hopefully by this time, we can look it up. We got an idea where the house is. hey, so if I can get you enough that you can put $200,000 in your pocket after my fees and attorney fees are paid, would you be okay with that? Right? We're just going to go in for the close. Now, if you see this script is very simple. It's very, very simple. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and ask. I'm more than happy to say it. If they say, hey, I got time, I'm in no rush. Hey, no problem. No problem. Whatever their timetable is what their timetable is, right? Guys, lots of times they're telling you an answer. A lot of agents get it really confused. They look at some of these objections, they get hung up on the objections. If they say, well, I've got plenty of time, I'm in no rush, I'm just going to wait till I get my price. Hey, no problem at all. I understand. Continue the script. Just keep going. Right? If they give you an objection, if they give you an objection, if they say, hey, we don't want to list with a realtor right now. Hey, no problem, but you do want to sell your house, right? Continue the script. Right? I wrote a whole book on objections. It's available on Amazon. But we want to get down here, and we want to be the person that sets the appointment. So I'm going to tell you where a lot of agents make a big mistake when they get to the point of, they had a good conversation with the people want to sell their house, they want to sell it in an acceptable time frame, they want to sell in the next 60, 90 days, basically. They want to sell it in an acceptable amount of time. A lot of agents go, well, what would be a good time to meet you? When would be good to meet you? When would be good to stop by? And you're talking to the husband, and the husband says, oh, well, let me talk to my wife and I'll have to get back to you. Guys, one thing we need to do is when we're talking to sellers and we're having a good conversation, we need to be the person that we need to dictate the time of the meeting. Hey, well, I'll be down in your area about 2 o'clock tomorrow. Does that work for you? Can I stop by? Give them the time. Let them answer. Now, I'll tell you guys, if you do that, if you ask an open-ended question, you're going to have a problem. If you ask a closed-ended question about a specific time, you're going to get a specific answer. Well, 2 o'clock isn't going to work for me. Now, a lot of agents, I'll give you guys this tip. A lot of agents will stop right there. Okay. However, I promise you guys, if you get in the habit of continuing to ask more questions, right? Be a good question asker. If you get in that habit, your appointments are going to go through the roof. Now, what I mean by that is I believe that when you get a seller on the phone, ask 3 times for the appointment. I know some of you guys on the call right now are probably going, but Jason, I'm bothering them. No, you're not bothering them. They want to sell their house. You sell houses. That's what we do. Typically, most people are trying to sell their house because they think they can have a problem and they think selling that house is going to fix that problem. That's the truth of it. Okay, but a lot of us feel like we're bothering people. We're not. We got to change that, right? We got to change that mindset. Guys, I think that's one of the reasons I've done so well in the past is because I literally had this mindset that I am the best option for you. I'm the best agent. I am the agent that can do best for you, right? I truly was calling with an open heart and a heart of helping, right? And sometimes, man, I'd answer questions over the phone. I'd help somebody sell their house, and it turned out I wasn't their agent. And you know what? It sucked. Wasn't their agent. I didn't get paid. It's okay. It happens. But you know what? I've had people that I didn't sell their house, but I had a great conversation. I helped them out with a problem, in 15 minutes, and hey, they referred me to 3 other friends. However, so you say, hey, so can I stop by your house at 2 o'clock? And they say, no, we can't. Say, hey, no problem. Will you be at work? I say, oh, well, we got a doctor's appointment at 2. Hey, no problem. Would 5 o'clock work better for you? Hey, what if we met at 5:30? Would that work better for you? Oh, you're going to be at work? I tell you what time do you get off? Oh, we get off about 5. How about if I stop by your house at 6? Oh, today won't work? How about tomorrow? How about tomorrow, same time, 6 o'clock? Oh, you got kids and wife and dinner and all kind of stuff going on. Hey, no problem. I understand. Hey, look, it looks like I'm going to be on your area Saturday about 11 a.m. Would I can meet you before or after my 11 a.m. Would that work for you? Go ahead and ask. Go ahead and ask those questions because you know what? A lot of agents they're just getting stomped and they're giving up, right? They're giving up on the phone when they get the smallest objection. However, it wasn't really an objection. It was a condition. They really have a doctor's appointment at 2. They really have to work till 5. And when they get off work, they got to pick up the kids from daycare, and they got to get home, and they got to cook dinner, and they got to feed the dog, and they got to walk the dog, and they have all this stuff to do. And truly, they just didn't have time. You know what I mean? And that's the truth. They just didn't have time to meet you. So expired script. Expired script's really easy. We'll go through it really quick. Well, hey, so I want to tell you one important thing before we go ahead. So once you set the appointment, guys, you need to send your pre-listing package. Now, I did not plan to go over your pre-listing package today. It would take a little bit of time. I'm going to give you a link right here, jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com. You can download the template right there for mine. It's easy. It's really simple. It's like 9 pages. And that's it. It's got a whole video that walks you through it. And we go through this extensively in my group coaching. I believe that this is the #1 tool in your toolbox is your pre-listing package, right? So as soon as you set an appointment, you say, hey, I'd like to send over a package that tells a little bit about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. What's your email address, right? So you get their email address, you send it as soon as possible, and this is your brochure. You know, I've got this funky belief too, guys, that we're not in the business of selling houses. We're in the business of selling a service that sells houses. This pre-listing package is your service, right? I believe that. I heavily believe that. So I believe that we have to have something that tells about our service. You know, that's it. We got to have something that tells about our service. I guarantee you, even the people that don't want to list with you, that don't want to sell their house, they say, well, you know, we're not ready to list with a realtor. Use the same script. Hey, no problem. I tell you what, I'd like to send you over some information about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. I can email it over to you. What's your email address? Get that pre-listing package. And to the general public, I like to call it a marketing package. Get that in as many hands as possible, because the more people that actually see it, the more people that are going to list with you. You won't believe how many callbacks you'll get from that. So, hey, Valerie asked, where do they get numbers from? You know, I prefer Red-X. If you go to jasonmorrisredx.com, you can find that link waives $150 setup fee. If you call them and tell them Jason Morris sent you, they'll waive it over the phone for you. So expired script. Hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason Morris with XYZ Realty. Do you still want to sell your home at 123 Main Street? Oh, yes, you do. How much will you take for it? I saw you had it on the market a while back. Why do you think it didn't sell? Now, I like to ask this question because one thing I found, I'll tell you, give me just a second, Bob. One thing I've found is when you say, hey, I saw it on the market, why do you think it didn't sell? I like to ask that question because you know what they do is sometimes they talk trash about the previous real estate agent. And I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like in these situations, when they talk trash about their previous real estate agent, man, it seems like a huge plus for me. I mean, just seems like, hey, I'm probably going to get this listing. You know, that's how I always feel. If they talk trash about the previous agent, man, I've got this. You know. So they're like basically the same as buyer script. Now, when you're calling expireds, I will tell you, I like to try to get to the house as soon as possible. If any way possible you can meet them today, go meet them today. So if you guys want to screenshot this, and I'm gonna go over a couple of quick objections with you real quick, because I want you guys to really understand objections and understand that, you know, it's kind of funky, man. A lot of agents, you know, we all give objections. Here's the thing. We all give objections. We're all sold to so many times a day, really. So I've got this idea that an objection, well, Oxford Dictionary says is an expression or feeling of disapproval or opposition, a reason for disagreeing. That's what it says an objection is. I believe an objection is often just an excuse not to do something. In the case of this book, it's a real estate property seller telling you their go-to line that is often just something to get you off the phone. We all give objections. I don't know about you guys. I'm getting blown up about healthcare right now. Don't know why, but I'm getting blown up about health insurance. These people may have the best health insurance ever. It may be way better and way cheaper than what I'm currently using. However, I already have health insurance and I just don't want to take time to talk to them, right? Well, guys, this happens to everybody. So I give them my line. Oh, I already got health insurance. No thanks. Or I hang up the phone, right? Now, I believe a sales objection is a direct response in the evolution to our ancestors' physiological reaction of flight or fight that occurs in the presence of something terrifying, either mentally or physically. In modern society, we're not experiencing this reaction due to attacking wild animals. It's a response to a common sales call. Typically, most of the objections we get are nothing more than a smoke screen. It's nothing more. For most agents, it's a minor tactic that somebody's using that just defeats them. And for most agents, you know what? When they get defeated, it causes them to give up on their goals. But the reason why most agents have problems with objections is because they refuse to learn scripts, they refuse to stick to them, and they don't want to practice. They don't want to practice the script. So it kind of makes it a little bit tough, you know? I'll tell you this, guys, if you quit saying what you want to say on the phone, right? If you quit saying what you want to say and just stick to the script, you will do so much better. So Valerie, I think the best service to use is Red-X. I mean, without a doubt, I think it's the best service. And every time I've switched, I've went back. You know, every time I've switched, I've went back and I've basically used Red-X again, right? There's some other services out there. However, like I said, I think this is the best one. Can you look up random numbers or only expireds? No, they actually have an expired service where they look up the expired number for you. Now, they do have a program called GeoLeads where you can actually look up random numbers on. I think it's $40 a month. There's a lot of versatility with that too. So, guys, I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to go back to the screen. I think I got about 10 minutes here before my hour's up, but I got plenty of time for questions and I got plenty of time for you guys. So let's see. So we talked about what do you say? We talked about expired. So how do you find time to call? You know, this is one of the common things that I see agents do. They say, well, I just don't have time. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. If it doesn't go in my day planner, it will not get done. It just don't get done, right? If this call wouldn't have been in my day planner, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be on the call with you guys. I would have completely forgot about it. I mean, you know, and here's the thing, like we have to schedule time to make calls. You know, if we decide we're going to do it when we feel like it, the problem is we're never going to actually feel like it. Right? It's like going to the gym. All of us would like to go to the gym. All of us would like to be in better shape. And we go, well, I don't feel like going to the gym today. Well, you know what? The people that are in really great shape, the people that are really good at going to the gym, and the people that are really fit, right? It's because they make time, whether they put it in their schedule, right? So what's the best time to call? That's a great question, Pam. You know what? For me, I'm going to tell you this. For me, I think the best time to call is 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's not because more people answer the phone. That's not really the answer. 8 o'clock in the morning is because 8 o'clock is pretty much the earliest we can do it. The business day is just starting. If I go ahead and do it before things start getting in my way, before like the world starts happening, before whatever it is, then you know what, man, I got it. I can get that hour in. If I say, hey, everything has to wait till 9. I'll tell you what happens if you schedule. Now I understand some of you guys have to take kids to school. Some of you guys have other things going on, right? You might not be able to get to the office till 8:30. Completely understand that. Okay, but what happens to a lot of us is we say, hey, we're going to start making calls at 9. But But we take and we drop the kids off at school at 8, and then we say, you know what, I'm going to run to the grocery store real quick. I'm going to run home and vacuum. I'm going to run home and do this. I'm going to run home and do that. Um, what happens is other stuff starts getting in our day. And then next thing you know, it's already 9:30. You hadn't even started. You're not even prepared to start, right? And you had yourself scheduled from 9 to 10, and you completely missed that hour. And I am guilty of that just like everybody else. I promise you. All the stuff I talk about, one of the reasons I know so much about it is because I do it. I've watched myself do it over and over again. Now, Bob said it, I think eight's too early. People are just waking up grouchy. I'll be honest with you, Bob. I've tried a bunch of different times. I've tried 8 o'clock in the morning. I've tried 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I've called it 1 o'clock. Man, you're going to get a grouchy person on the phone every now and then. Hey, if they say something mean to you, I'll be honest with you. Here's the deal. If they say something mean to you, I promise, no matter how much they threaten you, they're not gonna recognize you in Walmart later on. They're not gonna come to your house and beat you up. You know, they're basically you're gonna hang up, and more than likely they're not even gonna know any. They're not even gonna remember your name. That's the truth of it, right? So I would not worry about that. I would start at 8 o'clock. Every now and then you're going to get a grouchy person. Every now and then you're going to get something going on. You're going to get somebody that's upset, but you're going to get it no matter what time of the day. So, so I would not be concerned about that at all. But you have to set up a schedule, right? I'm gonna give you guys a quick breakdown on a schedule. What do you put in your schedule? Number one is family time. Schedule your family time, right? Right. If your family life and your business life butt heads, which it happens a lot in the real estate business, we're in one of these businesses that we all have neurotic guilt when it comes to not working. So we end up working 7 days a week on stuff that we really had no business working on to begin with. And I think that's why the divorce rate is probably outrageous in the real estate industry. But number one is family time. Number two, non-negotiable business side, negotiable business stuff, right? Now, this is your office meetings. This is your continuing education. This is your stuff. If you're networking at the chamber events, this is that. It's stuff that isn't going to change the time because you just don't feel like it today, right? Number three, prospecting. Okay, number three, we got to put in prospecting. It is our source of business. It's our top source of business, right? And number four, everything else. Now, family time, that's your date nights, that's your time with the kids, that's your kids' soccer games, that's your kids' ballet, that's your kids' play, that's all the stuff, that you got to go to. We already kind of have that schedule, even though it's Corona time. We've got that schedule. Because I will tell you guys, one of the biggest keys to taking more listings in your business is consistency. If you're consistently prospecting, you're consistently talking to more sellers, next thing you know, you're going to consistently start going on more appointments. Then you're going to consistently start taking more listings, right? Consistency is the key. That is the key. So guys, how do you get over fear, procrastination, and doubt? I will tell you guys from my personal perspective, I'm a big believer in the 5 people you talk to the most, right? I'm a big believer in that. I got a couple of friends that do a lot of really great things that are local, and I got a couple of friends all over the country, and I talk to these 3 or 4 people like often. They make me want to do more stuff, right? People that don't fit into that, I don't talk to them that much, right? However, once we really put it in perspective, nobody's gonna try to eat you through the phone. Nobody's gonna come beat you up. Nobody's gonna recognize you when you go out to dinner on Friday night, right? Every now and then you might have a past client, but that's a good thing. These people you're calling are not. I believe one of the things that we have to do is we have to turn our shoulds. We have to turn it into must. We have to turn it into have tos, right? Just like when you guys heard me talk about my story just a little bit ago. I did not want to go back to Alcalá, South Carolina and live with my parents. I didn't even know what I would do for a job there, right? I felt like I had to. A lot of you guys are not succeeding. A lot of you guys aren't making calls. And a lot of you guys aren't doing the things you need to do because you've not internalized that it isn't a have to, that it is a must. It's not a want to. It's not I should do it. It's I must do this. If you're tired of being in reaction mode, if you're tired of being stressed out all the time, if you're tired of working 7 days a week, you have to start prospecting and taking more listings, right? You have to. Now, other than that, I'm a big believer in reading. I'm a big believer in listening. I like to listen to podcasts. I like any motivational person, any opportunity I get to talk to about, talk to somebody that's doing something really cool, especially if it's in the real estate business. Man, I will schedule a time with them without a doubt, and be ecstatic about being there. Um, Now I will tell you, I'll tell you this, like I've got a call on Friday. If you guys go join Real Estate Agents to Really Work, you can see the link and you can see the events and stuff in there. And I will tell you this, guys, I've got a call on Friday that this guy, he sold a big office he worked at. He had a 1-year non-compete. He started back this year in the middle of the coronavirus, and he has built a team. And 2 months ago, they were on track to net over $250,000 this year. And I'll tell you what, man, people like that, like, I love to talk to them. I want to hear about it, right? So guys, if you guys want to be in my group coaching, if you haven't, my group coaching is $40 a month. It's month to month. Basically, I help you put together your listing systems. I help you design your business and put together your business, go out and take more listings and take control of your business and your life and help you reach your goals. And if you want to join today, if you go to jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com, use the coupon code $1, the first month to be $1. You join for $1, you get all my scripts, you get everything. You get my pre-listing package, you got Thursday calls, and it costs you $1. If you like it, stay in it. It costs $40 a month. If you don't like it, hey, cancel, and there's no obligation after that. So log into the website and cancel. So what questions do you guys have? So let me look through the chat here. I think I answered most of them while we were going through. One thing I get asked a lot about is schedule. And what if you have another job? When you're going through your schedule, instead of family time being the first time, we got to put in that job, and then everything else works around that. If you do have that job and you're a part-time agent, I'm a big believer in part-time agents being able to, man, if you can work in 30 minutes of prospecting a day, that's 30 minutes. That's calling 20 people. That's dialing 15 numbers, right? I'm a big believer in doing that. I mean, if you hate your job and you really want to make the change to real estate, you don't have much time, hey man, make calls on your lunch break, right? Don't go straight home when you get off at 5. Go to the office and say, hey honey, look, I'm going to be home at 6. And when you get to the office, you got to be productive. You have to be like super productive when you get there. You can't show up at the office at 5, hang out, talk to everybody, and that's not going to help you get closer to your goals. I'm a big believer in that too. I'm a big believer in having a to-do list. I'm a big believer in having a list of your goals, having things that you want to do. If you guys want to listen to somebody that I really, really enjoy, and I've listened to some of his interviews over and over, there's a guy out there named Jesse Itzler. Jesse Itzler is he owns he's part owner of the Atlanta Hawks. He made a deal and sold a company to NetJets, which is owned by Warren Buffett. He's done a lot of great things, but he's got a lot of really interesting concepts and things he talks about. So guys, I appreciate you guys being on the call. Pam, I appreciate you guys inviting me. If there's anything I can help you with, send me a message through Facebook, and I will be happy to help you guys. And I hope you guys got a lot of value. If you guys would give me a little bit of feedback, send me a message if you would through Facebook, and let me know what you thought about today's call. And if I can help you, let me know. I'll be happy to. So you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon.